Hello everybody, welcome back to Yunus Cake Tips. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we're going to deal something with very simple. But sometimes simple things become not so simple challenges. Square cake. You know, the square cakes sandwiching and masking is not that simple as the round cake. Because round cake is just, you can go around very easily and then you can finish the top very easily. But square cake has got four corners, which has to be dealt a little bit differently. So as you see, I have so far so good a cake in front of me. I like to mention this, how do I get there? I like to talk about how do I get there. I give you all the tips and we're going to continue masking later on. So most of the time, if we deal with these square or rectangular cakes, we rely on the sizes, whatever we have in the hand as a cake pans or cake trays, whatsoever. Actually, it's quite simple to make the cakes as a sponge sheets and cut them in the right size and then sandwich them together into square form. But very often that we don't do the exactly right thing. For example, with the cake when we're sandwiching, it may not be exactly straight if we just follow the instinct and carry on and sandwiching and try to finish without any kind of guidance. So, and then that is sort of like need to have some sort of consideration. Most of the time when we're having those kind of molds and sort of like cake pans, we rely on those sizes and we build all our designs according to those sizes. But there is sometimes the case, like I have today, you need to have a particular size for a particular reason. So in this cake, for example, with this cake, I have 20 centimeters wide and then 38 centimeters sort of the other size and about 10 centimeter height. So I can actually simply cut those sponges, put them together. That's no problem at all. But sometimes you spend time and then doing everything times. You think that everything is doing right. And then once the cake is finished, you turn around and then come back again. Oh my goodness, why I didn't look at this carefully. One side is a little bit higher than the other side. So I have to do some decorations over here. Try to sort of like mix match the failure with some sort of other sort of decorations, etc. So today I'm going to show you something what I do to solve those problems. So first of all, if you have to do something in that kind of special size, you have to have a guidance as a first layer. So I cut a sponge like probably about between 1 inch to 2 inch size. So at the size or at the shape of that cake, what I'm looking for as a width and the depth. All right. So that is the first stage, and I put this on the board. Then that is my horizontal guidance. So that's the size I want built up. But the height comes to the sort of like a next stage. How I'm going to have a guidance to get the right height everywhere the same. All right. I use simply that corrugated cardboard stripes, which has to be lines this way. So because when I bend them like this, it bends very nicely. All right. So what I do, as you see it over here, I build the first layer. I put the first layer on the board, and I turn this one around and then bend it nicely and put it around like that. And after that, I put the next one the other way around. I start from this corner and then bend it like this and then put it around like that. And after that, I use simply just a sticky tape, go around and get this square or rectangular shape according to the guidance, relying on that first piece of sponge. I have it on the base. After that, I have my height everywhere the same. So I build the cake using very carefully some ganache layer by layer. And at the same time, when I'm using the bigger size of a sponge, I will have some offcuts on the side. So when I'm layering, I carefully use all those offcuts, join them together carefully, not only putting the ganache on the base, I also put in between the sponge sheets. Basically, that mud cake is a texture-wise very forgiving. You will not going to realize that you have some patches, some joints in the middle. People, when they cut the cake, they are not going to realize that. It is not actually cheating, it's just making sure that you're doing the right thing, join them together nicely and correctly. So after that, when we're sandwiching, so far, you will have some sort of like passing over that edge as a height, and you use some long knife like this, placing this knife over here and using the guidance of the cut board, and then just go slowly cutting like that, all right? And after that, that's it. So I have here perfectly 100 millimeter height because I cut my stripes 100 millimeter, and then I'm ready to do that. So all I have to do now, I have to remove that cardboard pieces and start masking the cake. Okay, let's go through first what I have on this table. So my cake is already ready. It's actually combo design. Underneath, halfway through is a white mud cake, and after that start the dark mud cake. So we have black and white mud cake here. I have here a kind of very thin fish filleting knife, which is very easy to use in between and go through without sort of like making too much stickiness and too much sort of mess. So that's a good, very thin and long knife. All right. And then because of the size, it's very suitable to go this height and go around without any failure. And I have this long knife, as I show you, for cutting the top. All right. I have a palette knife, not so big. So this is enough for just to use the side masking. And I have also conditioned ganache. So as you see that, it's very, very creamy. It is soft, but it's not that sort of firm and also not so runny. So, okay. And then the cake is actually left in the fridge for a sufficient amount of time. The whole cake become like a 4 degrees, like a fridge degrees. So that is actually perfectly all right. When you use the ganache on the cake, it will harden, it will firm very quickly. It will help to make the whole process. All right. So I have here also scrapers, which has got 90-degree corners. So that will be quite easy to get the sides, and that's also easy to make the top part. Also has got like 90-degree corner. This is not 90-degree, but this part is big enough to hold around and go straightly. All right. And I have some measurement things just to make sure everything is in the right size. All right. Let's go. Remove this one first. So I'm going to have my knife here. Right? Make sure that my knife is just going towards the cardboard, so I'm not diving inside the cake. All right. See, it's nothing come out, not much. All right. Okay. That's done. That's also done. All right. Just cut the sticky tape here. There's a cut here. Cardboard removed. Cannot use this again. Of course, I'm sure you have lots of corrugated cardboards like this. I have big boxes to pack some cakes, and I have always like sometime I cut the boxes shorter. I have always some off-cut cardboards. I keep them on the side if it's like good enough size. All right. By doing this way, we have a guarantee 90-degree corners, because when this cardboard is properly done, when you're doing like this, it is a 90 degrees the walls. All right. So it cannot be like a lopsided. Cannot go wrong with this. All right. So let's go and start doing the writing. I like to show you kind of like the steps which is helping every step to the next step, and then as I said before, that step also a good step because of the step before you done it correctly. All right. So I want to not to worry about the side first. I want to only worry about the top. All right. So I take the ganache. All right. So when I do this one now, what will happen? Because of the temperature of the cake, that ganache will really become like a plateau, like a nice firm platform, so we can cut the soft ganache on top of it, which I'm going to show you later on. Just not to forget, you have to use the right size of the palette knife. I was wrong here just now. You see, when I look at palette knife over here, it's slightly bended this way, so I'm going to use that way down. And when I'm also holding my palette knife, I'm not holding like this, I'm holding like that, and then give a bit of pressure to that with my finger here. All right. So basically, I am not worried about anything go over the cake. I want to worry about the surface is nice and straight and very, very smooth. All right. Go this 3 times. See that this is at the moment is like getting firm, but I like to go a little bit more. There's some little pieces inside, but no harm at all. There's some unmelted chocolate. It's not a problem at all. All right. I'm not that fussy actually. If you don't want, you can always remove them on the side. All right. Okay. Now, so far so good. What will happen now? I'm going to use this. Make it really, really nice. Look at that. That's it for the moment. All right. So actually, I have some extension of the ganache here everywhere, but I don't worry about it. I don't worry about it because this one will get hardened, but this one will stay soft. So it's not going to be hindering my next step. All right. So use again. This time I'm going to turn the palette this way, and then use this way inside. All right. So that's the trick. You take a ganache about this much and aiming about only this much side. Only this much side. Turn around like this. Always, always you go to this way and then doing this way like that. All right. And I'll also go over the edge, extend it to the empty area there. So what I'm doing now, I don't worry about that soft part. So just now was the coated ganache is go horizontal. Now when I'm doing this, it becomes upwards, vertical. All right. Then we're going to take this off again to make it the other way around. I make sure that the ganache is go over the edge. And of course, I like to keep it straight. Now when this one happened, then I go this way. I go this way after that. So I'm already over the edge upwards, all right? And then my nice plateau maintain on the top. See how I hold the palette knife now? Because I will use on this much, so I'm holding it this way. I'm not holding it like that. I'm just getting this one like that. So that becomes much more controllable. I did a similar video before for the round cake, but a lot of people asking me how to make the square cake. So I have this opportunity now to show you very shortly how I do this. All right, now just go one more time. So I was very careful to make the top correct, but on the side I'm not careful at all. I'm just making sure that enough ganache having there for coverage. All right. Now what I have here? I have here straight surface, and a little bit already firm up. All right, just a little bit firm up. It's softer, it's harder than this side here. All right, this side is just done it. I can't wait too long. I have to deal with this now because the ganache is still scrapable, is still soft enough to deal with that. All right. So all what I have to do is holding that scraper, metal scraper. I wish that this corner is more sharp, but it's okay like that. So I'm going to holding very sort of like a relaxing and sort of like a loose, not so not so steep holding. All right. And then touching over here, make sure that you are slow, all right? Going this way, past the halfway, and stop, all right? And then clean. Make sure that every time you start, you have a clean scraper. And then now, the next one, I start from here, and then going this way, slowly, and then past the halfway, and stop. All right, now, next one, again. Now, I have this one perfect, and extension also straight. So if I touch from here now, I will have a perfect corner. Not perfect, but it's good enough corner, all right? So I'm holding again, very straight, holding, past the halfway, and stop. Over here, past the halfway, and stop. Now this one. And this one. So basically what I'm not doing, I'm not going all the way down and past this corner. So I have to go always cut this like that, just like we do on the top, we do it on the corner, all right? Now only one side left, all right? Here. And one more time. Then we have all the sides correct, all right? Now this time, what we're going to do this. I'm going to take this one and then start from here. I'm not touching to the corner. I'm just a little bit away from that. Touching like this and then going like that and clean. And then going here again, like that and clean. Now this one, don't worry about that, go there, because this is bigger than that, all right? Here and clean. This one and clean. Then because of this too much, I will use this one this time now. I'm going to go also. You see, I'm not touching the corner. And this one. So what will happen now? I was quite sort of like in control not to put too much in. So when you have too much extension over here, just go from the corner and go this way after that. So then we go this, clean up those areas. What happened now here, when we start with the ganache, we're starting on the sponge surface, just like kind of like a crumb coat, all right? So we could have done the crumb coat first, but it doesn't matter. I use this one as a kind of first layer and a crumb coat at the same time. I'm going to put this in the fridge now, make everything nice and firm. I'm going to get this one a bit softer. So this is already nice platform. This one gets softer, this one gets cold. We're going to do this all over again one more time. You will see that everything become much better than this. So the cake was about half an hour in the fridge. It's nice and cooled down. Now the surface is really, really firm. But you have to be careful. If you keep too long this cake in the fridge, you will face the condensation problem. So that's why you have to be just a little bit aware about that. So as I said, my ganache is nice and soft, and then cake is nice and firm. So we'll do exactly the same process again. Choosing the right sides, and then take some ganache, and then go second time on the cake. This time you will realize that it's much nicer than just going ganache on the sponge. And we can be also a little bit more thinner this time. Okay, right away. Make it nice. You realize that the ganache is getting right away hardened, so you have to be on time for scraping. So that's already good. Next thing, we go for the side. Generous. That's it. So I just want to make sure that corners are enough to cover that last cut off there. We don't have to do it again, that spots, right? That's it. All right, let's go. Again, start from here, halfway through, then this way, halfway through. Then here, make sure that position is correct. Here, and here. So I'm not going over and over, just one action from starting from corner and then past the center and stop. That's it. Now just checking one more time. That's good. That's good. Sometimes we need to have a bit of like towel clean. That's great. And then just use this one again. Take this off and then cut it off on the surface like that. See, I'm not touching the corner. I'm just getting it slightly inside. Again, towel clean, time to time. So once this one happens, then we can go to corners, and this time we go diagonal way. Once you do this step finish, you will realize that the surface getting firmer and firmer. Then you can clean your scraper again and then go one more time just for last perfection. You're not hurting anything because you only remove the soft ganache. The firmer ganache already stabilized. You cannot take it off anymore. Okay. That's it. just the last. This time I'm going to use my fingers here, like that. Okay, now last thing is clean up this part. I'm holding my scraper sort of like 45 degrees and I'm pushing down, not to damage on the side, only remove the excess ganache from the surface, from the board. That is it. So that's finished. It turns out quite nice and straight and geometrical, so I'm happy with that. If you look back, I'm sure you also do yourself, and you have seen also before people using palette knife to make the end bit. So there is nothing wrong with that, but as you remember that I only use the palette knife, transfer from ganache from the bowl to the cake, and then spread it around. And then all the straightening business, I use it with the just a scraper, metal scraper. So for my opinion, it works better. I don't know, what do you think? So, and also like the using corrugated cardboards as a kind of template and also as a kind of mold to make the cake exactly straight. That is also part of my video today, is an important emphasized point. So I would like you to encourage also to be brave enough and then just to have the courage to think about further than what you learn, and then create your own methods as long as they are sort of food safe and economical. So there's nothing wrong with that. There is sometimes we find things nowhere is written, but it will be very useful. I'm sure you're asking me now, what about coating the cake with fondant? So corners with fondant is quite a bit of challenge too. So just to make the corners, make sure that hard enough that doesn't sink in and also doesn't tear, the fondant doesn't tear. So let's leave this one to another video. I'll come back with this as soon as I can. So that is all from me guys today. God bless you all. Until to my next video. Bye for now.